We come with that heat, we got skip on the.
Public Fades, NFL Week 5 Best Bets. We're back at it once again. Ladies and gentlemen, great week last week. Almost perfect. Almost perfect. But almost doesn't count. Unless you're, horseshoes, hand grenades, whatever. So if you are new to the program, what is Public Fades? Well, when I open up my sportsbook app and I'm going through this NFL Week 5 slate and I see 80% or more of the money on one team, 80% or more of the public on one team, it's in the name, Public Fades. We fade the public, but it's not just any of those games. It's got to make sense. I got to look at it. I got to see the storylines going into the game. And whenever I see a game that I like, I add it to the video. So I take that play. What happened in week 1? This was what week 1 didn't make a video. It's what gave me the idea to make this video. Week 1, 4-0. Week 2, I make the first video and I'm just throwing darts at everything I see. I go 3-3. Not too bad, broke even or whatever, but not the best. Week 3, I hone in a little bit. I make that percentage. I think it was like 75 or whatever when I first started, 75% or more of the money. By week 3, by the time that rolls around, I'm narrowing it down to more like 80%. Still 6 games though. Went 4-2. So a little bit better than week 2. And then last week we had 4 plays. All of them hit except for one. Let's go through that week 4 slate. Just a little review. Last week we had Giants plus 6.5 against the LA Chargers. Giants at home. Not only did they cover 6.5 in Jackson Dart's first time as a starting quarterback for the New York Giants, they won outright, 21-18. Now, I didn't see the Giants winning that game, but I did see a nice little cover at home. The Chargers flying from LA to New York across the country. The Chargers kicking off at 1 o'clock Eastern time. What is that? Pacific time. That's 10 a.m. That's 10 a.m. Might be a little sleepwalk session through this game. Oh, it's just a rookie quarterback getting his first start. Oh, we're one of the best teams in the league. We might win our division. They underestimated the Giants. They underestimated Jackson Dart. And the Giants won outright, 21-18. Got the cover, obviously. Also in that 1 o'clock slate, we had the Saints plus 16.5 at the Buffalo Bills. Now, Saints still haven't won a game, but they did get their first win against the spread. 31-19 loss to the Buffalo Bills. That is a cover plus 16.5, making us 2-0 going into that late afternoon slate. And I really like the Raiders. I really like the Raiders in that matchup against Chicago last week. I called it almost to a T. I said Ashton Genty is going to go off and the Raiders are going to win. We're going to take Raiders money line. Ashton Genty went off. He had 3 touchdowns, 1 on the ground, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns receiving. I gave out the play Ashton Genty anytime touchdown, and I also put my money where my mouth is. I said he was going to go off. I even went Ashton Genty anytime touchdown and Ashton Genty 2+ touchdowns. I think that was plus 200 or something. You think back to those Boise State days. I mean, an average game for Ashton Genty was 3 touchdowns. So obviously NFL is a lot different than the competition that Boise State was playing. But yeah, I really liked it. And Ashton Genty even came out. He started doing his Michael Myers stance again. I don't know who told him on the Raiders coaching staff not to do that, but I'm hoping that they see what it brought them. And Ashton Genty, Michael Myers himself, is back in action this week against a Colts team that lost a back and forth banger of a game against the Rams last week. That is not going to be one of our plays, but I may still take Ashton Genty anytime touchdown and start rolling that over week by week. But we did take the Raiders money line against Chicago last week. What happened? Back and forth game. It looked like Las Vegas built a lead for most of the game. Chicago started coming back late. They score a touchdown to go up one. They go for a 2-point conversion. I'm sitting at this spot downtown in Knoxville with my friend, and I'm telling him, after Chicago scored a touchdown and go up one, I was like, watch. They're going to go for two. They're not going to get it. The Raiders are going to drive down the field, kick a game-winning field goal to win by 2, cover their -1.5. We took a money line. They're going to cover the -1.5, and the public's going to lose their money. What happened? They went for 2. Chicago did not get it. Las Vegas gets the ball. They start marching down the field. They set themselves up with a game-winning field goal that got blocked. You can't make this stuff up. You can't write a script like that. I know all the people, they're like, oh, the NFL's rigged. It's scripted. You got to go out and perform. And Chicago coming through with that blocked field goal there at the end to win 25-24. Didn't see that one coming. But that was a heartbreaker. Our only loss last week came by a blocked field goal. So it hurt. It was a heartbreaker. Ashton Genty came out and made us some money as well, but that was the first and only loss of the game going into Sunday Night Football, where my Green Bay Packers, shout out. I can never remember what side to go on the mic to show my shirt. Shout out to the Packers. I mean, they were favored -6.5 in Dallas at Jerry World, and I said it was going to be a banger. Both quarterbacks were going to go off. The Packers came out, looked real good. Scored 2 touchdowns, held Dallas to, I think it was 2 3-and-outs, at least one for sure. But they scored their second touchdown, went up 13-0, went for the extra point, and that got blocked. Oh my goodness, the last 2 weeks, all these blocked field goals and extra points in the NFL is driving me crazy. But hey, whatever. So what does that do? That sparks Dallas. Dak starts coming back. He had a great game. Jordan Love had a great game. I don't think either quarterback threw an interception. Both had at least 3 touchdowns. I'm pretty sure. I know Jordan Love did. But a back-and-forth banger shootout, like I said, ended up going into overtime, and Dallas drove down the field. Green Bay was able to hold them to a field goal, and then Green Bay drove down the field. It looked like they were going for the win. It looked like they were about to score a touchdown. And what happens? Green Bay gets around the 10-yard line, and they start playing for a tie. They're down 3, clock's running out. Terrible time management. And if you watch $1 Million Radio, episode 43 this week came out a couple days ago. If you haven't, go watch that for sure. But I gave my take on the whole Green Bay and playing for a tie, and should have won that game. If they were to score a touchdown right there, that Dallas plus 6.5 would have still covered. And my team would be tied with Detroit at the top of the NFC North. But no, we're now a half game behind Detroit after beating them in week 1. But anyways, I've already given my take and spiel about all that. Moral of the story is Dallas covered plus 6.5. It ended up tying 40-40. Luckily for Green Bay, there was still 1 second on the clock to kick that field goal. I still think they should have drawn up a play and went for a touchdown, but you win some, you lose some, and I guess you tie some. NFL needs to ban ties. But anyways, so 3-1 last week. Week 1, 4-0. Week 2, 3-3. Week 3, 4-2. Last week, 3-1. That will bring our total. I had it written down. It's 14-6 on the year. Can't find it on my paper now. I've just got so much stuff written down. Year to date, all season, 14-6, 3-1 last week. I did mention in the last episode that I was looking at the Monday Night Football game, Cincinnati at Denver, plus 7.5 for the Bengals. Like I said, not only does 80% or more of the public's money have to be on a team, which it was on, I think it was 83% on Denver, but it's got to make sense. And by the time Monday rolled around, I was looking at it. I didn't like it. I didn't like Cincinnati being on the road. I didn't like Denver losing on a game-winning field goal to the Colts the week before. Now they're back at home against a Cincinnati team that hadn't looked too great since Joe Burrow left with a toe injury. They lost 28-3, didn't even score a touchdown. I had T. Higgins anytime touchdown, and that did not cash, obviously. But 28-3 loss, Monday Night Football. Didn't take it. Glad I didn't. Glad I didn't make a fool of myself in that one. But as for this week, like I said, 14-6 on the year. Not much going on this week with public fades. I'm going to be honest. We got 3 games. One is Thursday Night Football. Obviously, that will have already happened by the time this episode comes out. We are on that Thursday Night Football game. We got to play. So if you haven't already, make sure you're following us on TikTok, especially on Instagram, Facebook, all that social media at MD Minds. Also, subscribe if you're here. Like the video. You don't understand how much that helps us here at $1 Million Radio, but yeah, follow us at MD Minds. Make sure you're getting these plays when it happens. I'm going to be posting this clip, and hopefully by the time this episode comes out, we're already 1-0. But we'll just have to see. We got one game on Sunday in the 4:30 slate, and then one game Monday night. Those are going to be the only 3 plays that I saw that fit the model and that I like. There were some that were flirting with the 80%, 78%, and I just, 3 is good for me, all right? And we're going to start it off with Thursday Night Football. We got the 49ers at the Los Angeles Rams. Rams minus 7.5, okay? 82% of the money, 69% of the bets are on the Rams minus 7.5. This is a divisional game. If you pay attention to Rams games and Chargers games in SoFi Stadium, depending on who they play, a lot of times it's a home game for the away team, if not a neutral side at least. 82% of the money, 69% of the bets are on the Rams. Matthew Stafford, in his career against the 49ers, 7-20. With the Rams, he is 3-6. The Rams own this series there for the first few years with Stafford at LA playing for the Rams. But the Rams have won 3 in a row regular season games in this divisional rivalry, okay? But in those 3 games, the average margin of victory for the Rams, only 3 points. Now, if you pay attention to the 49ers, if you're a fan, you realize that it's a makeshift team right now, okay? A lot of injuries. And tonight, Brock Purdy is out. Jawan Jennings is out. Ricky Pearsall is out. Obviously, George Kittle and Nick Bosa are both on IR. But you know who's playing for the 49ers tonight, right? You know who's not hurt, right? As of right now. Christian McCaffrey is still playing for the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are 3-1 overall, 2-2 against the spread. Rams 3-1 overall and against the spread. Their only loss came to Philadelphia 2 weeks ago last week, when they had the field goal lined up there at the end. They were definitely going to cover even if they missed that, but then Philadelphia blocks the field goal and takes it all the way to the house, even when the game was over. But, so if you had the Rams in that game, that was a terrible all-time bad beat 2 weeks ago. The Rams won that shootout with the Colts last week, 27-20. And the 49ers lost to the Jags at home in San Francisco. But that score was 26-21. I mean, this line opened up minus 4.5, and I guess it's moved because of the injuries. It moved to minus 5.5 for the Rams. Now it's sitting at minus 7.5. The Rams would have to win by 8 in a divisional rivalry game, whether it's at home or not. It doesn't matter. This game, these two teams always play each other close, and I feel like even with the injuries, they're going to have to rely on Christian McCaffrey. They're going to have to rely on Mac Jones to come in, who has won 2 games already for the 49ers, if I'm not mistaken. Will the 49ers win tonight? Probably not. I do think they keep it within 7.5 points. Give me San Francisco plus 7.5 in Thursday Night Football tonight. So that's what I've got right now for our first play. Only one play on Sunday. Only one play that fit the model, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I said last week that I didn't like the slate at all, okay? I thought that there was a great possibility we would go 0-4 last week. But what happened? I didn't like it. I still went with it. I went with my gut. I went with public fades, and we ended up 3-1. Only loss was to a blocked field goal, might I remind you. So, game 2, 4:30, Sunday afternoon. I don't like this one. We've got the Detroit Lions at the Cincinnati Bengals, minus 10.5 for Detroit. That's a lot of points. 95% of the money, 90% of the bets are on Detroit. 95% of the money. It was at 96 yesterday. The Lions, 3-1 overall and against the spread. Only loss was in week 1 to Green Bay. Shout out to the Packers. Cincinnati is 2-2 overall, 1-3 against the spread. They have not looked good at all since Joe Burrow went out. The Lions have dominated since their week 1 loss to Green Bay. Zach Taylor is fighting for his life this week. Zach Taylor is fighting for his job as the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals have their backs up against the wall this week. They're playing a dominant team in the Detroit Lions. They are at home. Home underdogs are a plus with the model. 10.5 points is a lot of points. Jake Browning, he looked bad last week. He hadn't looked great all season since he stepped in for Joe Burrow. Joey B. When 95% of the money is on one team, I don't care who it is. The Detroit Lions could be playing the UT Martin Skyhawks. And if that line is set at minus 10.5 with 95% of the money, I'm going with the Skyhawks. And on Sunday at 4:30, I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals, plus 10.5. I might regret it. I might eat my words, but I think Jake Browning proves himself. I think they get the ball to Jamar Chase a lot more this week. I think they work the ball around, throw some halfback screens, some slants, some quick routes, get the ball out quick. Don't let Zach Browning or Jake Browning stand in the pocket and try to read the defense and try to make some plays on his feet. Don't let that happen. Don't let that happen. Quick plays, run the ball, screens, slants, quick outs. Get some yards, get some first downs, put some drives together. And Cincinnati, please cover 10.5. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. That's a lot of points. Lions have to win by 11. Don't let it happen. Okay? Please. Sound like Sabrina Carpenter today. Our third and final play this weekend will happen on Monday Night Football as the Kansas City Chiefs play at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kansas City minus 3. 90% of the money, 82% of the bets are on Kansas City. Chiefs 2-2 overall, 2-2 against the spread. Jacksonville 3-1 overall and against the spread. That only loss came to the Bengals, believe it or not, in Cincinnati. That game was when Joe Burrow went out and Jake Browning came in, led him to a win there at the end. Kansas City absolutely killed Baltimore last week. Absolutely demolished them. But if it wasn't for that game, if it wasn't for everybody thinking the Chiefs are back, which they might be, maybe they never left. If it wasn't for that demolishing of the Baltimore Ravens last week, Kansas City would be the underdog in this game. Jacksonville with a great game and win at San Francisco last week. They flew across the country, beat a team on their turf in California. Jacksonville's a little bit better than people are giving them credit for, okay? Now, the Chiefs are the Chiefs, but Jacksonville at home, Monday Night Football, you're giving me 3 points. Might buy it down, get the hook plus 3.5 if you want. They still got Trevor Lawrence. They still got Travis Etienne. Madden 26, when it came out, I was playing that a lot. They had Trevor Lawrence at a 76 overall. Maybe that's changed in the last few weeks, but a 76 for Trevor Lawrence, former number 1 overall pick, that's disgraceful. That's absolutely disgraceful. You get Travis Hunter in his first Monday Night Football game. He's starting to come alive a little bit. Got a couple highlights out there now. Yeah. I'm not saying, I mean, maybe the Chiefs drop to 2-3 this week, but I think this is going to be a very close game. I like that the line is low. I like that this isn't like, the Chiefs minus 5.5. We'd still be riding with the Jags if it was. But I think the low -3 line shows that everybody thinks Jacksonville is going to be keeping it close in this one. So give me the home team +3, Jacksonville Jaguars. Fading the public, 90% of the money, 82% of the bets on Kansas City. We're going Jacksonville +3. If you want to buy it down to +3.5, I don't blame you for that. But we're fading the public this week. We do it every week. So stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button. Like I said, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at MD Minds on all social media. Hit that subscribe button, please. It helps out a lot. And thanks. Hold on. Thanks to you for last week's episode, getting up to 300 views. I really appreciate that. That's the most views we've had on this channel in a video that's not like a reel or a YouTube short, but I really appreciate that. I'm probably going to be going live Saturday night. We've got UFC 320. Go check out me and Kyle's UFC 320 breakdown. But as for public fades, the house always wins. Fade the public. And you have our plays. We've got San Francisco +7.5. Thursday night football. We're starting 1-0. I'm just saying it right now. We're starting 1-0. That's easy. We've got the Bengals +10.5 on Sunday against the Detroit Lions. And going into Monday Night Football, we will be 2-0. And we're taking the Jags +3 to make it 3-0 this weekend on public fades. So, as always, bet responsibly. Please don't blame me for losing your house. If you know anything about sports betting or casinos, the house always wins. So don't bet your house, but ride with me, ride with MD Minds, ride with $1 Million Radio and Public Fades as we fade the public once again this week. We're going 3-0. If we go 0-3, I'm sorry, but we're going 3-0. So I'm telling you that right now. I got a lot of confidence after last week. Got a lot of confidence. So tune in next week. We'll see how we did. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.